Hello everyone. Today's video lecture we will discuss the quantitative analysis of organic compounds. It's a very interesting. Now we have to identify the elements present in the organic compound. Once after this identification of the elements present in any given organic sample, we have to find the exact percentage of that particular element present in the organic compound. So that is what we call as qualitative and quantitative. First we have to identify the element. Once after identification of the element, we have to find the exact amount of that particular element present in the given sample, that is the percentage of that particular element present in the sample. That is what we call as quantitative. So today's discussion will be mainly on the quantitative analysis of the organic sample. So let me just write down the heading. The heading is quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis, that is determination of the percentage of elements. We have to define the exact percentage of the elements present in organic sample. Now organic sample, so we have seen organic sample contains carbon, hydrogen, so we have to identify the percentage of carbon in a given sample. We have to identify the percentage of hydrogen. We have to identify the percentage of halogen if present. We have to identify the percentage of phosphorus if present. We have to identify the percentage of sulfur if present. And we have to identify the percentage of nitrogen by different methods. So this is all about the quantitative analysis or the calculation of the percentage of elements. So the first we will take up percentage of carbon and hydrogen. Estimation of carbon and hydrogen present in the organic sample. We have to identify the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. Now the method employed for estimation of carbon and hydrogen is what they call as Liebig's combustion method. Liebig's combustion method. So by this combustion method we will identify the concentration of the carbon and hydrogen. So in this Liebig's combustion method, carbon is estimated in the form of carbon dioxide and hydrogen in the form of H2O water. That means the given organic sample which contain carbon and hydrogen will be oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. So the method is we take this organic sample. We have this organic sample. This organic sample contains carbon and hydrogen. Now this is heated with oxygen. Now this oxygen should be free from carbon dioxide. Free from carbon dioxide with cupric oxide followed by heating. So the reagent used for oxidation of this organic sample is we have to use cupric oxide. The organic sample containing this carbon hydrogen is heated with cupric oxide in presence of oxygen free from carbon dioxide. When this carbon is oxidized as carbon dioxide gas and hydrogen as H2O liquid. Now the moment this carbon dioxide is released, this carbon dioxide is absorbed by pre-weighed sample of potassium hydroxide. Now the moment after this combustion carbon dioxide gas will be released, this carbon dioxide gas is passed through a pre-weighed sample of potassium hydroxide. Now the reason is why this potassium hydroxide is used to absorb carbon dioxide. The reason being carbon dioxide is an acidic gas. So to absorb this acidic gas, we take the help of a sufficiently basic hydroxide. So this is acidic, carbon dioxide is acidic. So we require a particular substance which must be basic so that this carbon dioxide can be absorbed by this basic substance. So this is the reason why we use potassium hydroxide to absorb carbon dioxide. So the reason is carbon dioxide gas, being an acidic in nature, is absorbed by sufficiently basic potassium hydroxide. Now after absorption of this carbon dioxide by potassium hydroxide, there will be increase in mass. So final mass and initial mass, that mass difference will give you the mass of carbon dioxide gas form, and this H2O, this is absorbed by a pre-weighed sample of calcium chloride anhydrous. So again now look at this. This H2O is passed through calcium chloride, that is anhydrous. So we measure the mass of this calcium chloride anhydrous taken for this absorption of water molecule. Then finally this calcium chloride anhydrous will absorb all this water molecule which is coming from this organic sample, and this is converted into hydrated calcium chloride. So that is the final mass. Now final mass and the initial mass, that mass difference gives you the mass of water. So from the mass of carbon dioxide and the mass of water form, we will define the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. So let's take this. Let the mass of sample, mass of organic sample taken for this experiment be suppose A gram. Then mass of carbon dioxide form, let's suppose this is X gram, and mass of H2O form, that is suppose Y gram. So mass of carbon dioxide is mass of potassium hydroxide after this experiment minus initial mass, that is equals to X. Mass of water is mass of this calcium chloride anhydrous after this experiment minus the initial mass, that is the mass of water. Now we have this is the mass of sample taken, mass of carbon dioxide form and mass of water form in this chemical reaction. Now we will use the basic concepts of chemistry to define this. So now suppose we have this mass of carbon dioxide, so number of moles of carbon dioxide, that is number of moles of carbon dioxide form is equal to mass of carbon dioxide, that is X, divided by molar mass, that is 44. We define this number of moles divided by is defined as mass of the given substance divided by molecular mass. So molecular mass of carbon dioxide is 44. Now if you look at this molecular formula of carbon dioxide, one molecule of carbon dioxide contains one carbon atom. So therefore 1 mole of carbon dioxide will contains 1 mole of carbon. So that means this number of moles of carbon dioxide is equals to number of moles of carbon in carbon dioxide. So the total number of moles of carbon present in carbon dioxide is equals to the number of moles of carbon, because formula says one molecule contains one carbon, two molecule will contain two carbon, 15 will contain 15 carbon. So 1 mole means 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 will contain 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 carbons. So therefore number of moles of carbon dioxide is equals to number of moles of carbon in the organic sample, which is equals to the number of moles of carbon in organic sample. I hope this point is very clear, because now look at this. During the course of this chemical reaction, oxidation of this organic sample by this cupric oxide, we have taken oxygen which is completely free from carbon dioxide. So therefore look at this. In the course of reaction, the product carbon dioxide, the carbon which is present in the carbon dioxide, this is coming completely from the organic sample. So all the carbons present in organic sample is converted into carbon dioxide. So the total quantity of carbon in the carbon dioxide is equals to the quantity of carbon present in the organic sample. So this is the number of moles of carbon present in the sample. If this is the number of moles of carbon, so now look at, therefore mass of carbon in sample is equals to number of moles of carbon into atomic mass, that is 12 gram. So this is the mass of carbon present in the organic sample. So therefore, percentage of carbon is equals to mass of carbon divided by mass of organic sample taken for this experiment multiplied by 100. Now we have this mass of carbon. Mass of carbon is number of moles of carbon into 12. Number of moles of carbon multiplied by 12 divided by mass of sample taken is A gram. So we have this multiplied by 100. Now number of moles of carbon is equals to number of moles of carbon dioxide. So we say this is X divided by 44, that is number of moles. So X into 12 into divided by 44 times A. So X is the mass of carbon dioxide formed in the reaction. 12 is the atomic mass of carbon. This is for percentage. This is the mass of sample. So this is how we define the percentage of carbon in a given organic sample. So the percentage of carbon is the mass of carbon dioxide formed into 12 into 100 divided by 44 into A. So once we have these values, it's very easy to find the percentage of carbon. So no need for this all this calculation. We require is we have to be very specific about this, the percentage, the final equation. So this is how we define the percentage of carbon from the quantity of carbon dioxide formed during this chemical process. Similarly, now we have to find the percentage of hydrogen. Now let's define the mass of hydrogen water form is given as Y gram. So therefore, number of moles of water form is Y divided by molecular mass of water, that is 18. So this is the number of moles of water formed in this chemical reaction. Now look at this. All the hydrogen present in this water, this is exclusively coming from this organic sample. So therefore, that is number of moles of hydrogen in water, because one formula unit contains 2 hydrogen. So therefore, number of moles of hydrogen in water is equal to 2 times number of moles of water. The reason being, each formula unit of water contains 2 hydrogen atoms. So 2 mole will contain 4. So therefore, the number of moles of hydrogen is equal to 2 times number of moles of water. This is equals to number of moles of hydrogen in sample. So once we have the number of moles of hydrogen in the sample, we can define the mass of hydrogen in the sample. So therefore, mass of hydrogen in sample means in the given organic compound is equals to number of moles of hydrogen in the sample multiplied by its atomic mass. So atomic mass of hydrogen is 1. So now look at this. Number of moles of hydrogen is, we have this 2 times NO. So this is 2 into Y divided by 18 into 1. So this is the mass of hydrogen present in the organic sample. This is gram. So now therefore we have to find the percentage. So therefore the percentage of hydrogen is equal to mass of hydrogen divided by mass of sample multiplied by 100. So mass of hydrogen is 2 into Y into 100 divided by 18 into mass of sample taken is A. So this is the percentage of hydrogen in a given organic sample. So what we have is, to define the percentage, we need to have the mass of carbon. So mass of carbon into 12 by into 100 divided by 44 into 8, that is the mass of, percentage of carbon. This is the percentage of hydrogen. Therefore this is 2 times the mass of water formed divided by 18 into 100 divided by A. A is the mass of sample initially taken for this experiment. So now this is the formula to define the percentage of hydrogen, and this is for percentage of carbon. So reaction method process is known as Liebig's combustion method. carbon in the form of carbon dioxide, hydrogen in the form of water. So organic sample is heated with cupric oxide, which is a very good oxidizing agent. When carbon of organic sample is converted into carbon dioxide and hydrogen into water. So from this hydrogen and water and carbon dioxide, we define the quantity of hydrogen and carbon, because all this carbon and hydrogen present in carbon dioxide and water, this is exclusively coming from organic sample. From this, we take the help of basics of organic chemistry and to find the percentage of the sample. Take this example to identify the percentage that we have just defined. Question says mass of sample taken is 0.25, so that is A. Mass of sample A, that is equals to 0.25 gram. Now this sample on this combustion method, the increase in mass of calcium chloride and the potassium hydroxide tube is given as 0.15 gram and 0.1837. Now look at this. Increase in mass of calcium chloride is equals to the mass of water form. So the mass of water form is equals to 0.15 gram, and increase in the mass of potassium hydroxide, this is equals to the mass of carbon dioxide form, which is equals to 0.1837. So now we have mass of water and mass of carbon dioxide. So this mass of water, that is taken as Y, this mass of carbon dioxide, this is taken as X. Now we have to find the percentage. So therefore percentage of carbon is mass of carbon dioxide form, that is X, into atomic mass of carbon, that is 12, into 100 divided by gram molecular mass of carbon dioxide into the mass of sample. So we have all this. So mass of carbon dioxide form is 0.1837 into 12 into 100 divided by 44 into mass of sample taken is 0.25. So this gives you the percentage of carbon for this analysis. Then the percentage of hydrogen, this is equals to 2 times the mass of water form into 100 divided by molar mass of water into the mass of sample taken. So mass of water, that is 0.15 into 100 divided by 18 into 0.25. So this gives you the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. Now look at this. Question says the sample also contains oxygen. Then the percentage of oxygen is equals to 100 minus summation of the percentage of carbon and hydrogen. Now this will give you the percentage of oxygen, because percentage means total number of parts is 100. So out of this, some part is carbon, some part is hydrogen. So the rest will be the percentage of oxygen. So the percentage of the last component is 100 minus the percentage of the other component. So this is how we define the percentage of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen by this combustion method. Let's say the second problem. So we have an organic sample. This organic sample contains 69% carbon, 4.8% hydrogen, and the remaining, that is 26.2% oxygen. Question says calculate the mass of carbon dioxide and water produced when 2.2 gram of compound was analyzed. Now look at this, percentage is given. We have to find the mass of carbon dioxide and water from. So now look at this, we have this percentage. So look at this, percentage of carbon is equals to, that is X, that is the mass of carbon dioxide, into 12 into 100 divided by 44 into A. So now we have to find this value. So therefore X is equals to percentage of carbon into 44 into A divided by 12 into 100. So percentage of carbon is 69 into 44. A, mass of sample taken is 0.2 divided by 12 into 100. So this is the mass of carbon, that is x, इतना ग्राम x carbon dioxide बनेगा. Similarly, now we have this percentage of hydrogen in the sample is defined as 2 times y into 100 divided by 18 into A. We have this percentage of hydrogen. So y is the mass of water. So this y, which is equals to the mass of water, is equals to percentage of hydrogen into 18 into A divided by 2 into 100. So this equals to percentage of hydrogen is given as 4.8 into 18 into 0.2 divided by 2 into 100. This is the grams of hydrogen and carbon, which on combustion gives you 69% carbon and 4.8% hydrogen. When we combust this substance, that is 0.2 gram of the organic compound is that analyzed. So this is how we define percentage from the mass and mass from the percentage. So for this, look at this, what we require is we have to remember this formula for calculation of percentage of hydrogen and the percentage of carbon. Next we have estimations of halogen. So organic sample may contain fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Now this organic sample containing halogen, we have to identify the percentage of halogen, that is what we call as estimation of halogen. Now this estimation of halogen is done by a method known as Carrier's method. Carrier's method. So this is carried out in a tube known as Carrier's tube. Now what is happening is the organic sample containing halogen is heated with fuming nitric acid, that is the concentrated nitric acid. When the halogen is converted into halide ion, and this halide ion is precipitated as insoluble salt of silver halide. That means this we have organic sample. Now we have this organic sample. This organic sample containing, now look at this, we have carbon, we have hydrogen, we may also have sulfur, we may also have halogen. Now this is heated with nitric acid, fuming nitric acid, that is concentrated nitric acid containing NO2 in presence of silver nitrate aqueous solution. That means first we heat this organic sample with nitric acid, then after this heating with nitric acid, fuming nitric acid, the solution is add to the solution we added silver nitrate. When the halogen, the present in organic sample, is precipitated as insoluble silver halide. Now we take the mass of this insoluble silver halide, and from the mass of this insoluble silver halide we identify the percentage of halogen. Now look at this, the reagent used in this Carrier's method is silver nitrate, because by use of this silver, halogen is converted into insoluble precipitate of silver nitrate, and to convert this we take the help of nitric acid, that is fuming nitric acid. So organic compound is heated with fuming nitric acid. Now what is happening is carbon, when heated with this nitric acid, carbon is converted into carbon dioxide. Then we have this hydrogen is converted into water, because we are heating with this nitric acid, this is an oxidizing agent. Sulfur is converted into sulfate ion, and this halogen, this on reaction with this HNO3 plus silver nitrate, this is converted into insoluble silver halide. From the mass of insoluble silver halide we define the percentage of halogen. So now look at this, what is happening is carbon is oxidized to carbon dioxide, sulfur oxidized to sulfate ion, hydrogen into water, and this halogen is converted into silver halide by use of this silver nitrate. Now we take the mass of this silver halide. So now look at this, let the mass of sample be A gram. So A gram sample is to be analyzed. Then mass of AgX form dx gram. So the mass of silver halide form is suppose x gram. Now from this we'll define the mass of halogen. Now therefore the number of moles of AgX form is equals to mass of silver halide, that is x, divided by gram molecular mass. Let's suppose the molecular mass of this AgX is m. So this is mass divided by gram molecular mass, which is defined as the number of moles of silver halide. Now if you look at this formula, one molecule of silver halide contains one atom of halogen. So one molecule contains one halogen. So 5 molecules will contain 5 halogens. So 1 mole will contain 1 mole of halogens. That means the number of moles of AgX is equals to number of moles of X in AgX. So total number of moles of halogen present in silver halide form is equals to the number of moles of silver halide form. And all this halide which is present in silver halide is exclusively coming from the organic sample. So therefore this must be equals to number of moles of halogen in the given organic sample. So from the number of moles of this AgX obtained, we find the number of moles of halogen present in the organic sample, because in this reaction we are not adding halogen, we are just adding this nitric acid and silver nitrate, and all the halogen present in the organic sample is precipitated as insoluble silver halide. So now we have this number of moles of halogen. Therefore mass of halogen, mass of X, that is halogen, is equals to number of moles of halogen into atomic mass. Let the atomic mass of this be some value. So number of moles is equals to dx by m, and atomic mass, let's suppose the atomic mass is B. Let B be atomic mass of X. Then atomic mass of silver, silver का जो atomic mass है that is 108. So therefore this can be written as, this is gram, so X into B divided by molar mass of AgC is mass of silver plus mass of X. So this is 108 plus B. So this is the mass of X formed, that is mass of halogen obtained, is equals to X times, that is mass of silver halide form into mass of X divided by gram molecular mass of silver halide. So this is gram. So once we have this mass, we can define the percentage. So therefore the percentage of X in the given sample is equal to mass of X divided by mass of sample into 100. So we have this mass of X, this is given here, that is X into B divided by 108 plus B. This is the mass of X into mass of sample. Mass of sample is given as A into A multiplied by 100. So this is the percentage of halogen. So the percentage of halogen is mass of silver halide form divided by molar mass into mass of halogen divided by mass of sample into 100. So we have these values. Once we have this value, we can easily define the percentage of halogen present in a given sample of organic compound. We explained this formula by use of this problem. Question says 0.37 gram of an organic chloro compound. The compound contains chlorine. Get 0.574 gram of AgCl in Carrier's estimation. Calculate the percentage of chlorine. So now look at this. In this problem, mass of AgCl, that is X, is given as 0.574. Mass of organic sample taken, that is 0.378. Mass of chlorine, gram atomic mass of chlorine, we take this B, that is atomic mass of chlorine. Atomic mass of chlorine is equals to 35.5. So we have this characteristics, we have to find the percentage. Therefore the percentage of chlorine is equals to, we have this formula, X into P into 100 divided by 108 plus B into A. Now we have this X is given as 0.574, B is 35.5 into 100 divided by 108 plus 35.5 into A is given as 0.378. So this is the percentage of chlorine for this data. This is how we define the percent. Now look at this, for this you don't have to explain. Now what we require is, what is the, in which particular form halogen is being estimated, what is the name of the method employed for this estimation of hydrogen, what is the reagent used for this precipitation of halogen, then what is the particular specific reagent to use for oxidation of this organic sample. So that is fuming nitric acid, and this is what we call as the estimation of halogen by Carrier's method. Next we have estimation of sulfur present in the organic sample. Now again, estimation of sulfur is by the same method which was used for the estimation of halogen. So again, estimation of sulfur is by Carrier's method. So what is happening is, we take this organic sample containing carbon, hydrogen, suppose we have this sulfur. Now this sample is heated with fuming nitric acid. When carbon is converted into carbon dioxide gas, hydrogen into water, and the sulfur is oxidized as sulfate ion. So sulfur on oxidation with nitric acid is present in the form of sulfate ion, that is sulfuric acid. So sulfuric acid being water soluble, so this ion has to give you hydrogen plus and sulfate ion. So this sulfate ion means the solution containing this sulfate ion, when heated with nitric acid, this is treated with aqueous solution of barium chloride. When this barium ion from aqueous solution of barium chloride combines with sulfate, and this gives you insoluble precipitate of barium sulfate. Now we take the mass of this barium sulfate, and from the mass of barium sulfate we calculate the mass of sulfur, and from the mass of sulfur we calculate the mass of percentage of sulfur. So what is happening is, first we heat the organic sample with nitric acid, and the solution is again treated with aqueous barium chloride when sulfate is precipitated as insoluble barium sulfate. So now we estimated this sulfur in the form of barium sulfate, which is insoluble precipitate. So let the mass of sample taken be a gram, mass of barium sulfate form, suppose this is x gram, then molar mass of barium sulfate, we can directly use this molar mass, which is equal to 233 gram per mole. So this is the molar mass of barium sulfate. Now we have taken, therefore number of moles of barium sulfate form is equals to mass of barium sulfate divided by molar mass, that is equals to x by 233. Now if you look at this molecular formula of barium sulfate, one formula unit of barium sulfate contains one sulfur. So therefore the number of moles of barium sulfate is equals to number of moles of sulfur in barium sulfate. So this is equals to number of moles of sulfur in organic sample, because all this sulfur which is present in barium sulfate, this is exclusively coming from the organic sample, because in the course of this chemical reaction for the estimation of this sulfur, we are simply adding nitric acid, then to this solution we are adding barium chloride. We are not adding any sulfur from external source. So all the sulfur which is present in the barium sulfate must be coming exclusively from the organic sample. So therefore the number of moles of sulfur present in barium sulfate is equals to the number of moles of sulfur which was present in the organic sample. So now we have this sulfur. So now therefore mass of sulfur is equals to number of moles of sulfur into atomic mass of sulfur. So this is equals to number of moles of sulfur is X by 233, and the gram atomic mass of sulfur is 32. So we have this mass of sulfur. This is the mass of sulfur in terms of gram. Once we have this mass of sulfur, next is we have to identify the percentage. So calculation of percentage of sulfur is mass of sulfur divided by mass of sample into 100. Now we have this mass of sulfur here. So 32 into X into 100 divided by mass of sample is A. We have 233 into A. This is the mass percentage of sulfur. So the percentage of sulfur is 32 into mass of barium sulfate form into 100 divided by 233 into mass of the sample taken for this analysis. So this is how we define the percent of sulfur, again by Carrier's method. Apply this formula in this problem. So 0.468 gram of organic sulfur by this Carrier's estimation gave you 0.68 gram of barium sulfate. So we have to find the percentage of sulfur. So now look at this. In this problem, A, the mass of sample is given as 0.468. X, that is the mass of barium sulfate form, this is given as 0.668 gram. Now we have to find the percent. Therefore the percentage of sulfur is equals to, we have this formula, 32 into X into 100 divided by 233 into A. So we have this value 32 into X is 0.668 into 100 divided by 233 into A is given as 0.468. So this is the percentage of sulfur which on Carrier's estimation of 0.46 gram of organic sulfur gives you 0.668 gram of barium sulfate. So this is how we apply the formula in estimation of sulfur by this Carrier's method. Now this we have estimation of phosphorus present in the organic sample. Now in this method we take this organic sample. Now this organic sample is again heated with fuming nitric acid. So in all this, look at it, for estimation of halogen, for estimation of sulfur, for estimation of phosphorus, we heat this organic sample with fuming nitric acid. Now this organic sample containing fuming nitric acid, so we have this organic sample, assuming that this contains phosphorus. Now this on the reaction with nitric acid, fuming nitric acid, that is concentrated nitric acid, when this phosphorus is converted into phosphoric acid H3PO4. So the sample में जो आपके पास phosphorus है, all this phosphorus which was present in the organic sample is now oxidized to give you phosphoric acid, that is phosphate ion is formed. Now this phosphate ion, that means H3PO4, that is phosphorus acid, this solution containing phosphoric acid is heated with magnesia mixture. Magnesia mixture. So we are treating this phosphoric acid sample with magnesium mixture. When this gives you magnesium ammonium phosphate, now this magnesium ammonium phosphate with on ignition, means heating at very high temperature till a constant weight is obtained, when this gives you magnesium pyrophosphate Mg2P2O7. Now we find the mass of this magnesium pyrosulfate, and from this we define the percentage of phosphorus. So now look at this. Ultimately, first we are heating the solution compound with fuming nitric acid when phosphorus is oxidized to phosphate and or phosphoric acid. Now the sample containing phosphoric acid is again heated with magnesium mixture. So this magnesium mixture is a mixture containing magnesium chloride, ammonium chloride and ammonium hydroxide. This mixture is what we call as magnesium mixture. ये magnesium mixture है. So this phosphoric acid is treated with this magnesium mixture when this gives you magnesium ammonium phosphate, which is a solid but its mass keeps on varying. Now we have to identify a particular point where the constant mass is obtained. So to obtain the constant mass, this magnesium ammonium phosphate is heated at very high temperature, that is ignition temperature. When this gives you magnesium pyrosulfate with a constant mass, so we take the mass of this magnesium pyrosulfate to find the percentage of the organic sample. So now look at this. Let the mass of sample be E gram, then mass of Mg2P2O7 magnesium pyrophosphate, that we suppose X gram, then the molar mass of this Mg2P2O7, that is 222 gram. So we have this molar mass. You can use direct this molar mass of this magnesium pyrophosphate. Now from the mass we define the number of moles of Mg2P2O7, which is equal to mass given by molar mass. So this is X divided by 222. Now look at this. One formula unit of this magnesium pyrophosphate contains 2 phosphorus. So therefore number of moles of phosphorus in Mg2P2O7 is equals to 2 times number of moles of this Mg2P2O7. So this is 2 times X divided by 222. So this is the number of moles of phosphorus present in the final compound of this magnesium pyrophosphate, and this is equals to the number of moles of phosphorus in sample, because all this phosphorus is coming from the organic sample containing phosphorus. So we have this number of moles of phosphorus. So therefore mass of phosphorus in sample is equals to number of moles of phosphorus into atomic mass. So number of moles of phosphorus is twice X by 222. Atomic mass is 31. So we have this mass graphs of phosphorus present in the organic sample. Once we have this mass, we can define the percentage. So percentage of phosphorus is mass of phosphorus in the sample divided by mass of sample into 100. So mass of phosphorus, we have this mass twice X into 31 divided by 222 into 100 divided by mass of sample. Mass of sample is A. So this is the percentage of phosphorus in the given organic sample. So now look at this. In all this we have to identify in which particular form we have to convert this. What is the reagent and from which particular compound we define the mass of phosphorus. So these are the methods by which we can calculate the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, we have sulfur, we have halogens, we have phosphorus. Now we are left with the percentage estimation of nitrogen.